Assalamu alaikum, gorgeous. Welcome back to this episode. And today we're talking about how to get married in 10 days. Now, I love sharing my story of how I met my husband, got married to him in 10 days without him seeing my face, without him meeting me, without us sexting or flirting. It was just such a calm, casual conversation that ended up in marriage. So let me take you back to 5 years ago when I vowed to stay single. Yes, I made a vow to Allah that listen, the dating pool is terrible. The men that are available is just terrible. I'm ready to stay single and just raise my kids. I promise. I said to God, I promise that I will never complain about getting married again. I accept that it's not going to happen. Because before that, I was having conversation with a guy that I thought wanted to marry me, but then it just ended in nothing at all. My family were involved and just ended up not happening. So from that conversation, from that time, I just said to myself, this is not worth it. It's not worth my mental health. It's not worth my time. I'm just tired of it. So instead, what I did is I started journaling as if I was married. I started scripting. And this is something that I teach my clients, and it always works. I started scripting as if I'm married. So I would write in my journal a scenario from my married life as if it's happened. One of the entries that I wrote is, we just came back from the beach. We watched the sunset. I am so in love with my husband, and he is so in love with me. He makes me feel so safe, so loved. As I'm watching the ocean, the waves, I'm just feeling so loved. My husband tells me every single day that he loves me and I'm the most amazing wife ever. These are one of the scenarios that I journaled about that ended up coming true 3 years after getting married. And there are many, many more entries in my journal that have happened within the 5 years of me being married. Scripting is very powerful, especially when you script in the present tense as if you are married. And that's exactly what I did. Now, to take it further, another thing that I did was to feel married. It's all well and good to script and to focus your attention on actually being married in your mind, but then feeling it is a different case scenario, because usually what happens is your subconscious mind will want to keep you dysregulated. It will trick your nervous system into staying dysregulated by reminding you of past memories of you being hurt by a man, or maybe your dad will come to your mind where you stay stuck in that memory to trigger your fight or flight, which will keep you chasing men, fixing men, and just not being with a man who is committed to you. The reason why you're attracting uncommitted men, emotionally unavailable men, or narcissists is because you have unhealed wounds from your childhood. And those wounds give you the belief that you're unlovable. The biggest problem or challenge that my clients come to me with, and they're very successful women. I have women who are making multi-six figures. I have women who are corporate baddies. They are the highest position in their corporate jobs. I have women coming to me who are PhD level, but their love life is falling apart. Either their marriages are dull and they're feeling so unfulfilled, or they are attracting toxic men and they just can't understand why, because they are very successful. So they should be successful in the dating scene, but they're just not. And when I go back to their memories in their subconscious mind, I find a little girl who was hurt by her mom and dad, who felt abandoned, rejected, and unloved and not enough. The scenarios paint that picture. The memories paint the picture of a little girl who's not getting her needs met. So what ends up happening is she goes to search for that need to be met in another man. And what happens is, because she doesn't know what safe love feels like, she will come across a man who reminds her of her dad, or reminds her of her childhood, reminds her of the unsafe feeling, and call it butterflies. Oh, I got butterflies. I feel giddy. No, those butterflies are not butterflies. They are your trauma response. It's the anxiety that you felt when you were a little girl, when daddy didn't come home, or when daddy was too busy, or when you didn't have a dad and people were just bullying you for not having a father. Those butterflies are reminding you of the traumas from your past, but you've labeled it now something different. You've labeled it as butterflies, as love. This is what love feels like. How would you know what love feels like if you never received it as a child? How would you know what it feels like when your dad didn't show you love? The only love you know is anxious love, is toxic love, is absent love, it's unsafe love. You don't know what it feels like to be in love, especially when you haven't done that inner work where you've gone deep into your subconscious mind and revealed the memories and released the shame, the grief, the anger that comes with not feeling loved. You haven't released that. So of course you won't know what safe love feels like until you release those feelings. And when I work on this with my clients, they realize that all this time they were trying to fix their dad. They were trying to heal their dad through this man. I know that's what I was doing in my past relationships. I was attracting men and becoming their rehab center so that they can go on to be better men for other women. I was Barbara the Builder girl. That's who I was. Because in my subconscious mind, I was seeing my father not being very nice to me and hurting me. And every part of my body, my mind, my soul, just wanted him to love me. It was this natural instinct that I had that if I couldn't get my father to love me, I could at least get a man to love me. And hopefully that would fix the wound, that would heal the wound that I have for my father. But it never works. The truth is you have to save yourself. So when I started journaling and scripting, I call it scripting because you're literally creating scenes from a movie to be acted out. So when I started scripting, I created that identity of Rosie who is married. And it felt so safe in my body to believe that. But think about it, it's common sense, right? It's common sense for you to want to be in love. It's not common sense for you to want to be hurt. So when I started scripting and just making myself believe that I'm married, that felt normal to me. It took a while. And in fact, when it comes to scripting, you can get playful with it. It doesn't have to be some rigid thing that you say to yourself, this has to happen. It's just like imagining and fantasizing or creating the way you did when you were a little girl. Do you remember playing with your dolls and just acting it out, a movie scene, Barbie and Ken, or just acting out something happening with your dolls? Maybe they got into a fight, maybe they're having a tea party. You've always had that imagination. It never leaves you, even as an adult. The only thing is, the reason why it feels so hard is because you haven't practiced it for a long time. Just because something feels hard to do doesn't mean you can't do it. Scripting requires you to awaken that part of your imagination that's been laying dormant for such a long time because you've just been in survival mode. And in fact, imagining and scripting helps you come out of survival mode because right now your subconscious mind is tricking your nervous system to stay dysregulated by repeating and replaying those memories from childhood. That's why you're dysregulated, because you are playing the identity of that little girl who is yearning for her father's love. Your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between reality and memories. So in your subconscious mind, you're still acting out the little girl who didn't feel loved by her dad. But once you start scripting, you change that identity somehow. It doesn't get enough to the root cause. Hypnosis does that. But it's enough for you to consciously become aware of your patterns. So when I started scripting and believing I was married, and on top of the scripting, what I did was I would just pretend that I'm married. So when I went to sleep, I would turn over and say goodnight to my imaginary husband. When I was washing the dishes, I would imagine him hugging me from behind, whispering sweet nothings into my ear. It's making me feel so good. When I came back from being outside, I would just imagine that my husband took me out on a date and I was just feeling so refreshed. And you're probably wondering, like, how did I step into that feeling? Close your eyes. Just for a minute, close your eyes. And put your hand on your heart. Can you see your heart beating? No, right? But you can feel it, right? Just feel your heart beating. How does it feel to know that you can feel your heart beating? How does it feel to be alive? Now I want you to switch your focus to your lungs and take a deep breath in. And now breathe out. How do you know that you took a deep breath in? You could feel your ribs expand, right? Your belly expand. You could feel your lungs fill up. But can you see your lungs? No. But you can feel it and imagine it, right? You can imagine your lungs inflating. You can imagine your diaphragm going up or going down. And when you were exhaling, you could feel your belly go in. You could feel your diaphragm go down, your lungs deflating. But how would you know? It's a feeling, right? The same way that you can open your eyes now, the same way that you feel your heart beating and you feel your lungs expanding when you breathe in, that's the feeling you need to create when you are scripting. So when you're scripting, just for a second, close your eyes again and imagine your husband texting you saying, get ready by 7 p.m. I'm taking you out. Or your husband sending you a message saying he sent you £500 in your bank account. Or your husband messaging you saying that he's booked a trip to the Maldives and everything is covered. All you have to do is show up. What feeling does that give you? Maybe you're smiling. Maybe you're feeling a bit giddy. Maybe like your back is tingling, your arms are tingling. You're feeling butterflies in your stomach. Focus on that feeling. Just focus on it. Focus on the part of your body that is coming from. And now breathe into it. And as you breathe into it, let it expand. And now breathe out. And as you're breathing out, you can still feel that feeling. It is still there. The same way that your lungs are still there when you breathe out and your heart is still there when it's beating, the feeling is still there. It's like an organ. It's not going anywhere. It's part of you. It's part of your skin, your muscles, your skeleton. It's part of you. Just focus on the feeling on that part of your body. Put your hand there. And now you're going to repeat, I feel safe. I feel safe in this feeling. Allow yourself to feel relief now. Like, that relief feeling. Let your body go limp. And now open your eyes. And what I would do is that feeling that it created, it could be the feeling of security, love, or just this really happy feeling. Whenever I was feeling sad about my situation of being single, or even when I felt sad about money or whatever's going on in my life, whatever challenge I was going through, I would go and focus on that feeling because it's a reaction or an automatic reaction for us to focus on the sad feeling and fester on it. You're so used to doing that your whole life. But when you are going through challenges, when you're feeling sad about not being married, or you're feeling sad that your husband is not giving you attention, go and focus on the feeling that you created. You can create any feeling you want. But the thing is, the negative feelings gives you more satisfaction because you're so used to feeling it. It's not that you want to feel negative or sad. You're just used to it. It's a habit now. And habits give you some kind of fulfillment and satisfaction. So instead of letting that negative feeling give you satisfaction, I want you to get used to tapping into the feeling that you created by simply visualizing your husband texting you something good. Just focus on that feeling. And what I would do is I would focus on it until I felt satisfied, until I felt full, until I felt able to move on with my task, and I felt that I had gotten rid of that negative emotion. Now, if I felt like the negative emotion wasn't going away, then I would go back and ask the negative emotion, what do you need to tell me? What do you need from me? And then I would give myself what I need. If I couldn't give myself what I needed, let's say, for example, I needed to go for a walk, but I couldn't do it, I would just visualize that I've gone for a walk and I've come home, and I would soak in the feeling of giving myself what I needed. Because remember, your subconscious mind tricks you into dysregulating you. You can trick it back by simply visualizing that you've done the thing that you need to give to yourself, and then feel the emotion. Once you do that, your subconscious mind feels like it's done it, and it releases dopamine. It releases oxytocin. It releases those feel-good hormones so that you feel full. So you don't actually have to do the thing to give yourself what you need. You can just visualize it and imagine you've done it and focus on the feeling. Because the feelings matter. The reason why affirmations aren't working is because you haven't tapped into the feeling. You're only working on the mind. We have 4 bodies: the mind, the body, the subconscious, and the soul. All 4 have to align in order for you to get what you pray for. If your soul is not aligned with your body, and your body is not aligned with your mind, and your mind is not aligned with your subconscious, and your subconscious is not aligned with your soul, there's a break in the circuit. You will find it difficult to believe that you're going to get what you pray for. So in order for you to connect your subconscious to your soul, you have to be in alignment with God's purpose for you. In order for you to be in alignment with your soul and your body, you have to feel your way in this world, feel things, feel happy, feel peaceful, create the feeling. And in order for your body to be in connection with your mind, you have to have the right beliefs. And in order for your mind to be connected to your subconscious mind, you have to have the right identity. This circuit, this 4 identity, beliefs, emotions, and alignment creates your authentic vibe, makes it so much more easier for you to get what you pray for. And even if you don't get what you pray for and it never happens, you never get married, which I think is impossible, because if you believe and you can see yourself married, it means you're meant to be married. Allah wants you to be married. God doesn't give you dreams to lead you astray. He gives you dreams to tell you that this is your path. This is what's going to align you with your higher self. This is what makes you authentic. This is your purpose. God always leads you to what your purpose is through your vision, through your goals, through your dreams, through your passions, through your creative hobbies. It's never in vain. So when you align the 4 bodies, and the quickest way to shift into alignment is by changing your identity. When you do that, things fall into place. Well, actually, things fall apart first before they fall into place. It doesn't like happy-go-lucky go into place. Actually, I remember when I was doing this work of scripting, my car broke down. My office, I used to call it my office because I literally had to take calls for my car. My car broke down. Oh, and my clothes got stolen from the boot of my trunk. That was weird. My children's clothes got stolen, and my credit card got stolen as well. My debit card, and someone tried to use it at the petrol station. So all these things happen. I was so nonchalant about it. I just said to myself, my husband will fix it. So this will happen. This when you start changing yourself, you start changing your emotions and your beliefs, you do the scripting. What will happen is you will go through some kind of chaos, some kind of challenge that would have really triggered you to go back to your old mindset for you to reaffirm what you believe, what you're now believing, what you're now scripting. So me getting robbed, getting my card stolen, my car breaking down was a test from God to see if what I'm actually scripting, I actually believe in it. Because how would you ever know that you believe in something until it's taken away from you? Or until you're tested on it? How would you ever know you believe in it? Because it's always there, right? So why would you need to believe in it if it's always in front of you? So when you're getting tested, it's for you to reaffirm your faith in what you believe in. So I was just so nonchalant about it. I remember my brother and my sister looking at me asking, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, it's cool. It's fine. Alhamdulillah." I literally had no reaction to it. And then a week later, I booked a speaking gig. And it was my first ever speaking gig in front of 100 women. And I offered a private VIP session to do my abundance rewiring live. It's the first time I've ever done it. And I booked clients from that. And I booked a client who paid me 5K in full. So because I kept reaffirming, and look at it this way, I was scripting about my husband. I wasn't scripting about money. Although I was doing goal setting and visualizing money, I was scripting about my husband. And I made a 5K. I booked a 5K client a week later. And then a week later, I met my husband. He DM'd me about mindset coaching, and the conversation turned to marriage. I gave him my brother's number. The rest is history. We've been married for 5 years now, have 3 kids together. He's a great stepfather to my 3 children. We are a blended family of 6. And the things I've scripted about in my journal from 5 years ago have happened. I did not know how I would end up on the beach with my husband 5 years ago when I was scripting my imaginary husband. But I scripted in one of my entries about me sitting on the beach with my head on my husband's shoulder, watching the sunset with my children in the ocean. And that scenario has happened so many times. Word for word. And it gives me goosebumps thinking about it, that Allah wanted me to write about that. Allah wanted me to express it in writing to myself. I was guided to script that scenario, that vision. Another vision I had was my husband telling me that I am more than enough. I'm the best he's ever had, the best wife he's ever had. I'm so amazing. He loves me. I'm more than enough for him. For me, in my relationships, one of the biggest conundrum I had was that I was never enough for the guy. And I would always ask myself, why? Why wasn't I enough for him to stay or for him to cherish me and adore me? And my husband adores me. Like, everyone knows that my husband adores me. Like, he just dotes on me. And I dote on him too. Like, I love him so much. We just have this healthy connection. But I remember scripting that and just wishing that someone would see the good in me. Someone would just love me for who I am and would allow me to be my authentic self. And that's my husband. That's exactly what he is to me. I am my most authentic self with my husband. I am goofy. I do some goofy things. I've never been able just to relax. In my relationships, I've always been this uppity girl, having a mask on, trying to be the perfect wife, like Stepford wife. With my husband, I'm the complete opposite. He's seen me in my worst times. He's seen me in my best times. He's seen me in my in-between times. He's been there in every single pregnancy. He has helped me birth our 3 children. He's been there. He's seen me in my, just completely myself, raw, in my rawest form. And he loves me even more for it. That, girl, that is priceless. I don't care. And my business is flourishing. Allahumma barik fi. And I attribute that to God and my husband. I wouldn't be where I am today if my husband wasn't in my life. The way he has helped me regulate my nervous system, because as much as you are able to regulate your nervous system by yourself, which is great, you can, but you need to connect to someone, whether it's friends, whether it's a husband, you need to be able to connect. Connection is what actually regulates your nervous system to the deepest parts of it. You can do the regulating in the terms of doing the somatic work and releasing trauma, but then you have to connect. You have to learn how to reconnect back to human beings. That's what keeps you regulated. And this is why this is why I'm so for marriage. I'm for it. Healthy marriages, healthy families, because it's going to help you regulate yourself. It's going to ground you in something. Like if you don't want to get married, cool. I am for you having fantastic relationships, friendships with loved ones, with your family, with friends. I don't believe in having casual sex or dating casually. If you're going to date to marry. That's just my value system. Because that's what's going to keep you regulated when you date to marry, to stay committed. Casual sex is creating soul ties with men who don't deserve to even be in your energy. You are giving away your energy for free when you do that. But I do believe in very healthy friendship, sisterhood. If you don't want to get married and you're afraid of it, or that's not on the cards, that's not your vision, finding healthy friendships is very important for you to stay regulated. For me, my husband is my best friend. He gets me. My business is flourishing, Allahumma barik fi, because of him. He has helped me so much in figuring out my emotions. A relationship will always mirror to you your traumas, your good parts, your bad parts, your flaws, everything. A relationship, an intimate relationship, a husband and wife relationship is the highest form of relationships because there's nowhere to hide. That person is you. That person is a reflection of you. My husband is a reflection of my belief system. When we are not seeing eye to eye on things, it's because there's something in my belief system, something in his belief system. And because my husband understands the coaching world, because he's training to be a coach, he gets it. When we are misunderstanding, we're like, okay, what's going on here? What belief is being presented to us? This is how we talk. This is what belief is being presented to us right now. What traumas are being uncovered? What do we need to heal here? That's how the conversations turn. Like, what is this showing us? Yes, we have a problem, but the problem is not the problem, it's in our subconscious minds. And your husband is going to be your biggest reflector. And it's going to be painful. It's going to be horrible. Not going to love it. You're going to hate it. You're going to want to run away and just give up and blame the person. But when you look within, you will find the answer. When you look within yourself to figure out what's really going on in your marriage, you will always find the answer. I have always found the answer when I look within. And very quickly, I'm like, oh, okay, that's why that's happening. Like recently, we had a misunderstanding, and then it uncovered something around my family, something that I had been dealing with since I was young. And I never would have thought that unless I had asked myself the question, and unless I was open to realizing that it's not my husband, it's me. My husband may have done something to trigger me, and that's what he's responsible for. But the way I respond and how far I take it and how reactive I am is on me. So yeah, was it really about the socks on the floor? Or was it because you're tired of taking on the responsibilities of everyone? Is it really about him not being home on time? Or is it because you always promised things and those promises never happened? Is it really your husband not fixing the shelves? Or is it because you're being reminded of the times you were disappointed when you were made to figure it out by yourself? That's really what it is. When you uncover the deeper meanings behind certain things, you grow as a person. And you should always want to grow. I saw a TikTok the other day of a guy saying, how are you growing negative? How are you developing negatively? That made me crack up. How are you developing negatively? When you get married, you're meant to grow positively. You're meant to keep growing. It's meant to increase you in your growth, in your spiritual growth, in your mindset growth, in your physical growth. You're meant to grow. You're meant to evolve. You're not meant to stay the same. You're not meant to stay stuck in your traumas and blame the world and hold everyone else accountable but yourself. So this podcast took a turn. That's what always happens. I just allow transmissions to happen. I will allow things to flow to see where it goes. And I hope you benefited from it. Let me know in the chat below, in the comments, what you took away from this video. And if you want to shift your identity, where you feel rich, relaxed, and romanced, then join my 2-hour group abundance rewiring session on the 21st of November, starting at 12 p.m. UK time until 2 p.m. UK time. Remember what I said about the 4 bodies? In order for you to shift dramatically overnight, where you get what you pray for, you must shift your identity. The fastest way for you to align with what you're praying for, whether it's a husband, whether it's a child, whether it's better friendships, reconnecting with family, money, whatever the manifestation is, whatever you're praying for, in order for you to receive it and for you not to sabotage it, you must shift your identity. You must reinvent yourself. If you don't reinvent yourself, you're going to see some growth, but you're going to go backwards 10 times. Because I know you've done the inner work. You've journaled it, you've scripted, you've affirmed, but you're still going back to old habits. You're still sabotaging. You find it so hard to get out of a funk. It actually takes you longer now to get out of a funk than before you were affirming and journaling, before you did the inner work. And it shouldn't be that way. You shouldn't be progressing just to go backwards 100 steps. It shouldn't be that way. You should be progressing. And then when you do come across a roadblock, instead of you spiraling out of control, you stay in that moment. You know what to do. You feel so in control for you to expand 10x more. It's meant to like pull you back, like a rubber band. A challenge is supposed to pull you back, create that tension for you to go flying forward. It's not meant to break. The rubber band's not meant to break. You're not meant to go all the way back, pull back, and then it snaps and you go flying backwards. You're meant to propel yourself forward. And the only way you can do that is by reinventing your identity. So in this 2-hour session, you're going to delete memories in your subconscious mind that's keeping you stuck in the identity of that little girl who felt hurt by her dad, who felt like daddy didn't love her, mommy had no time for her, who didn't feel safe to express herself. You're going to delete those memories because you need to delete them to create space in your subconscious mind to create better memories. And then once you delete those memories, you must release the shame, the feeling of not enough in your body, because your body holds trauma. Once you release that shame, those feelings of anger and resentment, especially from your womb, and you tap into the power of your womb, you fall in love with your womb, then you have to reconnect to your true identity. The woman you dreamed of becoming all those years ago when you were a little girl, thinking about being an adult, saying, I can't wait until I'm older. That woman. You didn't dream of being depressed and sad and single, struggling, doubting yourself. You couldn't wait to be an adult, to travel and explore the world, to be wise and to have freedom. You dreamt of freedom. But right now, you're a prisoner to your old self. It's time to break the chains. It's time to reinvent yourself. Once you reconnect to that version of you, the feminine, soft, powerful woman, then you have to download her sacred codes. You have a set of sacred codes that 10x your visualization, your manifestations that 10x your healing. You have a sacred set, a blueprint, abundance codes, codes that make you, that make you unique. But you've forgotten them because you've been too busy trying to survive. You've been too busy acting like your parents or acting like that wounded little girl. Once you download her sacred codes, affirmations work. That's when the affirmations, the journaling, the EFT tapping, all these other modalities that you've learned, that's when they have such a powerful effect. In fact, one of my clients, she did this abundance rewiring session with me, and she knows about EFT tapping, all those things. But after doing the abundance rewiring session with me, when she went back to EFT tapping, she started vomiting. She had a visceral reaction to tapping out negative emotions because now her identity has shifted. Before, when she was EFT tapping, it wasn't having the same effect because these modalities are meant to supplement. They're not meant to be the actual tool that helps you heal. They're meant to supplement the embodied journey. Once you release and heal traumas, you're meant to embody now the woman in your mind. Once you embody her, then you're able to use these modalities to supplement and to maintain that state, that embodied, healed state. So my client, she was literally vomiting. She said to me, she was on business class on the plane and she's vomiting it out because she's done the inner work, the real inner work, where she's reinvented herself, released emotions from her body, connected to or aligned to her soul's purpose, the purpose that God has for her. She did that work in a 2-hour session. That's why the EFT tapping was more powerful. So once you reconnect to your true self, download her sacred codes, you're able to visualize better. Just imagine visualizing and believing that it's come true. Do you know how powerful that is? Instead of you sitting around waiting, doubting, thinking, did it really work? Just imagine you visualizing £1 million in your account and you're like, yeah, it's there. Imagine visualizing you're married and you're like, yep, I had my wedding yesterday. It was amazing. As a matter of fact kind of energy. Imagine being very magnetic, that people just can't help being around you, not to take something from you. They just want to be in your energy because your aura is just so inviting. It's delicious. Imagine having your feminine charm where you can get anything you want from your husband. Your husband just dotes on you. He adores you. He cherishes you. He loves you. He wants to keep you safe and protect you. And you feel so protected and safe with him. Just imagine that. How would that feel? And how long are you willing to wait to feel that way? You have to really ask yourself these questions. How much more time am I willing to waste when I know that this is the answer? Because you know this is the answer. You're listening to this because you know the answer is in changing your identity. You've heard about it. You've read about it. You've been on my posts. You've read the testimonials. You know for a fact that this stuff works and you know that it's going to work. And I understand fear holds you back. It's just a fear of change. You're worried about what's going to change in your life. You're worried about what you're going to lose. But let me tell you, there's so much more to gain. I promise you. If I knew 5 years ago that I'll be sitting on the beach, watching my children play in the sea, just by me letting go of my old identity, I would have done it in a click of fingers. I was like, yes, please take me there right now. There's nothing getting in the way of you changing yourself other than you. It's not the money. It's not the time. It's how much belief you have in yourself, how much you truly believe that you're meant to have a great life. You're meant for big things. And I know you're ready. There's no shadow of a doubt in your mind that this is the answer you've been praying for. This is your sign from God. Take this as your sign from God, that you're meant to live an abundant life. You deserve it. You deserve to get everything you pray for. Of course you do. You're a good person. You deserve it. With that remembrance, with that belief, click the link in my description box and sign up for this abundance rewiring session. I promise you it's going to change your life. I host these sessions from my soul. I get downloads from God and I present them to you with the intention to help you heal with the permission of God. This is my purpose, to help you heal. So be open to being guided through this process. Be open to it. Get curious. Thank you so much for listening, and I will speak to you next time. Assalamu alaikum.